I'll never forget that day. It was a warm Saturday afternoon in Charleston, South Carolina. My wife, our 2 kids, and I were out celebrating my daughter's birthday. She had just turned 10, and all she wanted was to eat at this little restaurant, near the water where they served her favorite, mac and cheese with crispy fried chicken. It was supposed to be a happy day. We walked into the restaurant, smiling, laughing, dressed nicely. My daughter wore a yellow dress with little sunflowers on it. She twirled when we stepped through the door. I remember thinking how proud I was of my family. We were just trying to enjoy a simple meal together. But something changed the moment we were seated. The waitress, a white woman in her early 30s, glanced at us but didn't say a word. No smile, no menus. Just a quick look, and then she walked away. We sat there for a while, 5-10 minutes, watching as she served other tables. People who came in after us already had drinks and were placing orders. I tried to stay calm, thinking maybe she was just busy. Finally, I caught her eye and politely said, "Excuse me, ma'am, we haven't been helped yet." She looked me dead in the eyes and said, "I'm not serving you." Just like that. Cold, sharp, like a slap. I felt the air leave my lungs. My son looked confused. My daughter shrank in her seat, her little smile fading. My wife's hand gripped mine under the table. I asked, trying to stay composed, "Is there a manager we can speak to?" She crossed her arms. "Manager's not here today. You people can eat somewhere else." You people. I'd heard that before. Too many times. I stood up, gently pulled my kids from their seats, and turned to leave. My heart was pounding, not from anger, but from hurt. Deep, aching hurt. I didn't want my children to see the ugliness of the world this way. Not today, not on her birthday. But then, something happened. As we were about to walk out, the front door opened, and in walked a tall man in a crisp blue shirt. The whole room got quiet. It was the mayor of Charleston, Mayor Thompson. He looked around, smiling and greeting folks like he always did. He's one of the good ones. Someone who's always spoken about unity and justice. But when he saw us, my family, standing near the door, eyes filled with pain, his smile faded. He walked straight over. "What's going on?" he asked, concern in his voice. I told him the truth. Nothing more, nothing less. I didn't raise my voice. I just told him how we were treated. He didn't say a word at first, just nodded slowly. Then he turned to the waitress and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "If they're not welcome here, then I'm not welcome either." He walked over to our table, pulled out a chair, and sat down. "Let's eat," he said, pulling out the chair beside my daughter like he'd been invited to a family dinner. His voice was calm, steady, like a quiet shield between us and the ugliness we'd just faced. He looked at my daughter with a warm, fatherly smile. Not the kind you fake, for cameras or elections, but the kind that reaches your eyes, the kind that says, "You matter." "What's your name, birthday girl?" he asked gently, leaning just a little closer, like she was the most important person in the room. Her eyes lit up. The sadness that had clouded her face just minutes ago began to fade, slowly, like a sunrise breaking through a heavy sky. "Ari," she said, her voice small but proud. "Well, Ari," he said, with a soft chuckle and a hand over his heart, "it's an honor to celebrate with you today. I hope you know how special you are." She beamed. That shy little smile came back, the one she had when we first walked in. And just like that, she sat up taller. Not because someone told her to, but because someone saw her, truly saw her. Then, he leaned in and whispered loud enough for her to hear, "You've got the kind of light that can change a room, you know that?" She nodded slowly, the corners of her lips curling up in a way that told me she believed him. And I did too, because, in that moment, it didn't matter that he was the mayor. What mattered was that he showed up, not just with words, but with presence. He gave my daughter her smile back, on her day, in a place that tried to take it away. The waitress stood frozen. Her face went pale, like all the color had drained out of her. Her mouth opened like she wanted to say something, maybe an excuse, maybe a lie, but nothing came. Just silence. Heavy, uncomfortable silence. You could feel the tension in the room like thick fog. Then, from the back of the restaurant, a man peeked out. Looked like he worked in the kitchen. He was wearing a stained apron and a baseball cap turned backwards. When he saw the mayor sitting at our table and noticed the way everyone was watching, his eyes widened. He rushed over, wiping his hands on a towel, looking both nervous and ashamed. "I am so sorry," he said, voice shaking. "I didn't know this was happening. I swear I didn't know." He handed us menus, placed them gently on the table like they were something sacred. "Please let me take care of your meal. Anything you want. I'll cook it myself. You don't deserve this. Nobody does." He wasn't just saying it to look good. You could tell he meant every word. There was something in his eyes. Regret. Maybe even heartbreak. And that's when the room shifted. People who had been quietly eating began to clap. A slow ripple of applause spread through the restaurant. Not loud or wild, just steady. Honest. Some folks looked down at their plates, shaking their heads in disbelief. A woman across the room stood up and walked over to us. She was probably in her 60s, silver hair pulled back in a neat bun. She placed a gentle hand on my wife's shoulder and said, "I'm sorry this happened to you. This isn't who we're supposed to be." Another man nodded and added, "Thank you for staying. Your kids deserve better than what they saw today." It was overwhelming in a good way. Not because it erased what had happened, but because it reminded us we weren't alone. We stayed. We ate. We laughed. Real, full laughs. My daughter got her birthday meal, and the mayor even made a silly face just to hear her giggle. He told her she was brave, and that she made the city a better place just by being herself. The mayor didn't leave our side the whole time. He didn't just sit with us. He stood with us. With his presence. With his heart. And you know what? That day didn't end with pain. It ended with hope. Not because racism didn't happen. It did. We felt it, raw and real. But because someone stood up, loudly, clearly, without hesitation. Sometimes that's all it takes. One person doing the right thing can change everything.